Hi there, Tanya Roof, meetings together. So we made it through Domain A, strategic planning. How did your week go? Did you time block? Did you find your why statement? I hope you set some goals and made them really measurable and specific. I hope you were successful in your time block management. How I did it this week is the first day, skill one, I did on Tuesday. And I blocked a full hour. So the first 30 minutes, I set a timer on my phone and read for 30 minutes. And it didn't take me all 30 minutes to read, but I waited until my timer went off, went back through, reread a few things, looked at my highlights that I had. And then once my 30-minute timer went off, I turned on the video and then watched the video while I was going through my binder and watching the PowerPoints, and kind of made a few notes, did a little bit more circling, things like that. So that's how I suggest you time block your day and go through the information. You do what's best for you. However, I really think that breaking things down into small, manageable pieces is the key to not getting overwhelmed and not losing steam. So that was Tuesday. Then Wednesday, how I did it, I blocked 30 minutes. As soon as I got up, I read for 30 minutes and that was it. And then I went about my day, and in the evening, I watched the 30-minute video. So that was skill 2. And then skill 3 was yesterday, and I blocked the full hour again, where I read for 30 minutes and then watched the video consecutively. So as long as you're reading first and then watching the videos and taking notes, that's the way you really want to do it. So again, small manageable pieces seems to be the best way to go about doing it to avoid the overwhelm. Now, one thing I did want to show you here in the system, see how this little wheel is right here? This controls your speed. So when you click on it, you click on speed and you can adjust. So if you think I talk too fast, you can slow me down to 0.75. If you're like, all right, Tanya, get to the point, you can speed me up at ×2. So this is how you control the speed on that. Also, if you would like to download the app to your cell phone or your iPad, just go to the App Store and download Kajabi, Kajabi. And the Kajabi app, it's a free app, and then you log in with your credentials. So that's how you get the course on your phone. All right, well, let's dive in. Oh, the only other thing I wanted to mention, it was in the welcome video module 1. It says that the videos release on Saturdays. I used to just release a module at a time, and I stopped doing that. So now you have access to the whole first trimester. So if you want to go through the course a little bit faster, you can. You have up until the first trimester, and then after the 2-week trial period, then the rest of the modules will release, and then you can look at further into the course. The second thing is the book is that I show is the old book. So that was my book from 2016. They have rebranded. The information is still the same, but the cover is different. So you did get the correct book. It's just you have the pretty new version, and I've got the older version. And then lastly, I just want to apologize for these videos. You get quarantined, Tanya. I was looking back and I was like, oh man, my hair was so nice. I curled it and my makeup was on point. So I apologize for quarantine, Tanya. But yeah, so those are my 3 things I wanted to mention before we dive in and jump right into skill 1, 2, and 3. All right, so I've got these PowerPoints. So I basically took my 2 favorite slides from each skill to kind of go over. And again, Domain A, strategic planning, has 15 questions that come from the exam. And there are 150 questions on the exam. Well, there's 165, but then 150 are the ones that you're actually scored on. So of those, 15 of them come from Domain A, strategic planning. So in skill 1, we've got 3 to 5. So I think one of the important takeaways from strategic planning is knowing the three distinct elements. So we've got discovery, analysis, and planning. So the DAP is how I like to remember it. So you want to make sure that you know what we're like the purpose of the event. Is the purpose of the event going to be defined in the discovery? Is the purpose of the event going to be defined in analysis or in planning? So you want to know a little bit about each of the phases and what is included in each one. So the purpose of the event is identified in the discovery phase. So know the difference of these, what is included within each one. And then the next one, let's see here, moving down. Here we go. Okay, mission statement, goals, and objectives. So you want to know the difference between these three. And I've mentioned in the course, and I'll say it here too, that goals and objectives this is something you're going to hear. This is a theme throughout the entire study process of studying for the CMP is, focusing and knowing your goals and objectives for your events. So you want to know what the difference between a goal and an objective is and what the difference between a mission statement is. So just remember that the mission statement, it defines the purpose of the organization and it remains unchanged over time. As where the goals are broad and general, and they are expected to be achieved long-term or short-term, and goals are used to achieve the mission. So we start with the mission, then we go down to the goals, and then from the goals, that's when we would define our objectives. And the objectives are specific and narrow, and they are used to achieve the goal. So objectives tie directly to the evaluation measures. So you know what your mission statement is, you know what your goals are, and you know what your objectives are. So that was skill 1 takeaway. Now skill 2 was a little bit bigger. It had a lot more in it, but you notice that skill 2, they're going to pull 5 to 8 questions from the exam come from this skill. So of the 3 skills, this middle one, skill 2, is the one that has the most information in it. So we want to spend a little bit more time in skill 2 and learning about the things in skill 2, because we're going to be more heavily weighted on it. So skill 2 is mostly about sustainability and sustainable events. So you want to know the 3 distinct systems that were set up. So there's the APEX, the ISO 20121, and then the GRI EOS. Or I like to say GRI EOS. Whether that's right, I have no idea, but it's GRI EOSS. So you want to know what the difference between these 3 are, what makes each of these organizations special. I gave you links in the PowerPoints to click on and look at each of these individually on the internet. So hopefully that was helpful. So you want to know, again, what makes these special. And then examples of social responsibility. We dove pretty deep into destination, venue accommodations, transportation, food and beverage, exhibits, audiovisual. So you want to know a little bit about each of these. Like for the destination, you want to understand when you're looking for locations and evaluating them, if you're going to be most of your attendees are on the West Coast, you probably want to find an event on the West Coast. You don't want to travel cross country with, emissions and flying and things like that. So same with like venue and accommodations. When you're looking at the venue, is it an environmentally friendly venue? Do they have a lot of restaurants within walking distance, things like that? And transportation, is there a like in Denver, they have that awesome rail system where you land at the airport and you can be in downtown. So it's amazing. Food and beverage, exhibits, audiovisual. So know a little bit about each section of the examples of social responsibility. So diving deep into that. And then skill 3 to 5 questions come from skill 3, and our first formula. So this was a really good one. I hope you liked the formula video. If on my YouTube, there's also in one of the other videos, I explain and go over how to do the formula exactly as well. But the ROI formula is ROI percentage equals net monetary benefits divided by meeting costs times 100. So make sure that you know this formula, that you have it memorized, and that you understand how to plug in the information. And again, there's that video that has examples where I give you the net monetary benefits and I give you the meeting costs, and you have to try to figure it out on your own. So feel free, obviously, if you want to pause the video and do it while it's paused, you can do that as well. So just make sure that you do know that formula. And then we have our lovely Phillips ROI methodology pyramid that I have lovely with all the pictures here to try and help you memorize, because you really do. Again, we'll get into this in a later module, but you really want to know all the different levels in this methodology. So that bottom 0, see that very bottom there where it's got all the people, that is the inputs and indicators. So you're going to measure the event basics there, such as number of attendees, cost, and efficiency. So those are all of your level 0. And then level 1 is your reaction and perceived value. So all our little emojis and our different reactions from, our little emoji faces there. And then level 2 is the learning. So that measures what your participants learned during the program. So everything that they were able to get out of the event. And then level 3 is application and implementation. So this measures how attendees apply what they learned during the program. So, like I always say, knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. So you have to be able to apply what you're learning in order for it to be power. So you have your little brain that has learned, and he's out there just applying away on that treadmill. And then level 4 is impact and consequences. And this considers the changes to the business, such as productivity, revenue, or employee engagement. So what change came out of your event? So you've got, and I don't know if you can tell, but that's actual change, spelling out the word change. And then level 5, this is your return on investment, and this measures the ratio of business impacts to the meeting cost. So that's your ROI percentage. And then level 6 is your intangibles. That measures things that are like leadership, that aren't customer satisfaction. It's not tangible, it's intangible. So that's measured at the top at level 6. So this is the Phillips ROI methodology. You do need to know all the levels and what the level is and what's included in the level. So make sure you do memorize that. Okay, so wrapping it up, this is what you should have learned in Domain A strategic planning. So this comes directly from the EIC and the international standards, what you should learn from strategic planning. So let's dive in and look at that. Again, you've heard me say 15 questions come from the exam. So skill 1, let's see. So you want to look back at these and go, okay, I feel like I understand this. So create strategic plan for meeting or event. Do you feel like you can do that? So what is that? That's, basically everything that we covered in skill 1, your DAP, right? And skill 1.1, develop event goals and objectives to align with your organizational strategy. So again, that's just talking about your SMART goals. And then you need to know the difference between goals and objectives. So that's basically all it's telling you that you need to know. So don't overthink it and think, what are they trying to say? So it's just SMART goals and knowing what a goal is versus an objective, and making sure that they align with your organizational strategy. What was the purpose and what's the reason for you doing your event? And then skill 1.2, we want to complete needs assessment to determine feasibility of the meeting or event. These were your internal and external factors. Do you remember that? Remember those? So kind of study knowing the internal and external factors. And then 1.3, identify meeting or event requirements to align with the goals and objectives. Those were the 10 commandment things, all of those meeting requirements, like the human resources, financial, all of those. So that's what that skill means. And then 1.4, complete a financial analysis and develop a financial summary. So this is the money part, right? Show me the money. So you want to be able to answer those questions about, how are we going to get the money for this? Where are we going to get the money for this? Things like that. So all the financial questions that come along with the event. And then lastly, monitor and measure event benchmarks to align with the strategic plan. That's talking about your KPIs. Do you remember those? Like knowing the key performance indicators. How are you going to measure and know that you're successful? You're going to be monitoring it, your plan throughout the event, and using benchmarks to make sure that you are on track to achieve those goals and objectives. And then in skill 2, develop a sustainability plan for meeting or event. So thinking, okay, am I comfortable with knowing what sustainability is and how I can incorporate it into my meeting? So 2.1 is implement sustainability plan, basically kind of what I just said. And like the 4 R's, remember the rethink, reduce, reuse, recycle. And then the 3 event standards and protocols. And then 2.2, demonstrate environmental responsibility. This was talking about, again, what's responsible by picking the destination, or what am I going to do picking a responsible venue, and then accommodation, transportation, food and beverage, exhibits, and audiovisual. So, looking in, taking a deep dive into each of those and how you can incorporate sustainability. And then lastly, skill 3. This is the develop business continuity or long-term viable plan of meeting or event. That's when I was kind of giving you the example of the Boston bombing. And so 3.1, develop evaluation plan based on event goals and objectives to align with organizational strategy. So again, a lot of fancy words for just, saying that you need to establish how you're going to define if you're successful. So how are you going to know, developing that evaluation plan based on your goals and objectives. What do you want to get out of this event? And then 3.2, collect and analyze meeting or event data using the evaluation plan to measure return on investment. And this is talking about you need to know your ROI percentage. So that is the formula of the ROI, which is ROI percentage equals net monetary benefits divided by meeting costs times 100. And then lastly, skill 3.3, evaluate meeting or event data to measure the critical success factors against the goals and objectives. All right, now do you take my word for it that like everything in here, I can't even count how many times they say goals and objectives? Quite a bit, right? So this is the talking about the data that you collect in, your pre-event data that maybe you capture during registration, your on-site data, the surveys that you take while on site, and then your post-event data after the event has happened and you have your surveys that go out. You remember we were talking about also the difference between quantitative and qualitative So kind of knowing that. So evaluating meeting or event data to measure the critical success factors against your goals and objectives. So those are the main takeaways that you should have gotten from strategic planning domain A. And hopefully you did. So now, good job. Next week we're going to be in domain B, which is project management. So we have skills 4 and 5. So again, you want to time block 30 minutes to read skill 4 and then about 30 minutes to watch the video. Same thing with skill 5, 30 minutes to read and then 30 minutes to watch the video. Then your contract clauses, time block 20 minutes to watch this video. And then time block to do your key terms and quiz after you've completed the domain. And then time block to read chapter 3 in the PMM book. So that's how you know how much time you have to time block. Then you come down here to your scheduler and take out your calendar and your schedule and fit in time blocking what makes sense for you and your schedule. So if Monday you are too busy and you can't get it done, then time block to do skill 4 on Tuesday. Try to front load the calendar. So if for some reason, and I don't want you changing your time blocks, I really want you to honor those blocks. But if for some reason something comes up and you can't get to it, you can potentially shift in your weekly plan. So as long as you're completing skills 4 and 5, domain B, sometime within this week here, then you will be on track and be on schedule for domain B. So that's pretty much it. So domain B project management is next week. I will send you an email on Sunday, basically just saying this is what's coming up this week and this is what you should be doing for domain B. And then I'll see you guys again next Friday. So have a great week. Just give yourself grace. It's going to be something different starting out in the beginning. There's a lot of information. Don't get overwhelmed. Just do what's in front of you. Take it in small bite-sized pieces. So one skill at a time, watch the video, pause the video. If you're not understanding, change the speed, slow me down or speed me up. Just really take it one skill at a time. Don't think long-term, just think of the skill that's in front of you. And this week, the only thing you were supposed to focus on was setting up your goals, setting up your why, and working on domain A. And then now this week's going to be a little bit easier because it's just domain B. We just have 2 skills and you're kind of already starting to get back into reading a book again and highlighting and taking notes. And so, our brain is a muscle, and like anything with exercise, the more you exercise it, the stronger it's going to get. So just stick with it. Believe in yourself. I believe in you. I believe that you can get through this, and just keep taking those tiny small steps and that move you forward towards the better version of you. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye.